An African girl comes from a challenging background. Most African girls, their background is characterized by challenging poverty, sometimes going to bed hungry or lacking basic supplies. Sometimes their neighbors look after them. Sometimes the community contributes. Sometimes African girls attend gatherings not because they enjoy gatherings, but just because they can get a meal that can sustain them until the following day. African girls, sometimes they are abused by relatives. Sometimes they are abused by people that look after them. Sometimes they are abused by their foster parents. Yet they grow up. So, with such a background, an African girl is expected to behave in a certain way. And there are things that an African girl is never expected to do. Number one, an African girl is never expected to date a married man. Yes, a married man. Dating a married man comes with consequences that an African girl should consider. She should think of the impact on the parties that are involved, including spouse and family. The emotional fallout that can be so significant. Therefore, an African girl, number one, is never expected to date a married man because of the consequences. Number two, an African girl is never expected to compromise self-respect. Never allows anyone to treat her disrespectfully because she values her self-worth. Number three, an African girl is never expected to conform to pressure. She doesn't do things just to fit in or to please others at the expense of her own values. Number four, an African girl can never neglect self-care. She makes time for herself, mentally and physically. She always makes sure that she comes first. She looks after herself. She will never neglect herself. Number five, an African girl will always avoid confrontation. Yes, there is conflict sometimes, but an African girl avoids confrontation. An African girl avoids overthinking what others think, what is their opinion. She believes and values their opinions also, rather than worrying excessively about what people think. An African girl will never stay in a toxic relationship. She's expected to recognize when a relationship is unhealthy, and she is always willing to walk. An African girl, and lastly, she is never expected to hold back her voice. She speaks for herself and for others. She is the voice of reason. An African girl walks with her head tall. She is the pride of Africa.